noted cephalogist to now a very popular politician. Yogendra Yadav, the professor, the academic, has clearly jumped into the fray with the Aam Aadmi Party as a political candidate from Gurgaon. Will it really help his fortunes? Take a look at this video.
You were one of the most celebrated cephalogists of this country. Since you have plunged into the politics, how Professor Yogendra Yadav, a cephalogist, is helping Yogendra Yadav, a politician?
Very little, I must confess. Actually, much of my life, even when the world knew me as cephalogist, much of my life was about being involved in social movements and social causes, which is what I've been doing for the last 3 decades. A tiny slice of my life was into what you call cephalogy. Somehow that got all the public attention, and everything else that I did not get attention. So what has happened is that what was half of my life has now become full life. And for me, it's not such a big change. But in terms of my cephalogy helping me in this one, I don't think it helps very much.
Haryana has the lowest sex ratio, and the lower castes have been on a receiving end since past many decades, if we say. What growth plans do you have for the state?
The entire model of development has to be rethought in Gurgaon, in Haryana. Haryana has managed to look prosperous largely because of the shadow of Delhi and places like Faridabad and Gurgaon and Panchkula and so on, which have given it a certain kind of prosperity. But that's not reflected in the conditions of rural Haryana. That needs to be changed. The entire model of development needs to be rethought, and rural areas have to be placed at the heart of model of development. At the moment, in the entire imagination, rural areas are dispensable.
Khap Panchayat doing anything to prevent spread of liquor? Because Khap Panchayat, they have an image that they issue Tughlaki dictates, they dissolve marriages, and they support, or we can say they justify honor killings. But you have opted to take a very soft stand on them. Aren't you also being part of a vote bank politics?
I don't know if it's soft or harsh, because people in Haryana say it's very harsh, people in Delhi say it's very soft. But what I've said is something I'm happy to repeat. I have said that Khap are just like any other social organization that you find in almost every caste and community of this country. If they do consensual dispute resolution, it is not only permissible, it is welcome. Because every social dispute should not reach a court of law. But if any social organization resorts to coercion, if they violate any piece of law, and if they justify things like murder, there is no place for them in the constitutional order of this country.
Through the performance of the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, it was like a tsunami. You swept Congress away from power. But how do you see Aam Aadmi Party performing here in Haryana?
Before that tsunami hit, if you recall, there was quiet and silence. You remember, what did the TV channels say? I don't remember about your channel, but what did the channels and newspapers say? They said it will get 2 seats, 4 seats, at the most 6. Isn't that what everyone said? And then we got 28. So right now we are passing through again the same phase, where they are saying 1 seat, maybe not even 1, maybe 2 seats. So wait for the outcome. It is not that Aam Aadmi Party causes miracles. It is that Aam Aadmi of this country causes miracles. And those who forget that it's the Aam Aadmi who rules this country, they are in for surprise.
Welcome to India Post Live, and that is the topic of our discussion, a profile on Yogendra Yadav, a man who has successfully predicted the outcome of many an election and somebody who's now donned the cap of a Neta. And to take the discussion forward in the studio, we have 2 guests with us. We have Mr. V. Matthew, who is the Executive Director for Center for Market Research and Social Development. Thank you so much for joining us. And we have Ms. Asha Khosa, who is a senior journalist and who has been tracking the Aam Aadmi Party for quite a while. Thank you so much for joining both of us. We would also be taking a few tweets and video calls and comments that our viewers will take. But I wanted to put the first question to you, Mr. Matthew. What do you think about this transition from being a cephalogist, somebody who has made poll predictions, being a poll guru, to now becoming a Neta?
See, Yogender, there are two kinds of psephologists. One set of such psephologists usually work exclusively for political parties. They do not come on the media channels. So Yogender has been working very closely with CSDS. I think he's one of the founder members of CSDS, and they have had tie-ups with various media channels, and to a large extent, they have been extremely accurate. So to that extent, Yogender has not been associated with any political party per se.
Right.
So he's not been the typical backroom politician. So to make that change, to make that transition from a psephologist is a huge leap of faith, and he's shown that as an ideologue in Delhi. In the Delhi elections, he's shown that as an ideologue, and now that he's going to convert it. I mean, he's the candidate from Gurgaon in Haryana, so it's a huge leap of faith. It's a great thing. It's a big thing for
A
him.
huge leap of faith, being a master strategist already for the Aam Aadmi Party. We've always seen him on the sidelines in a way, though. He's made several TV appearances, he's always been a political commentator. But so, do you think these kind of qualities will give him an edge in terms of trying to make an impact in these elections?
Well, yes and no. The answer to your question will be we know Yogendra Yadav as a public figure who has appeared on television sets, who donned the cap of a party and came on the stage. He's very soft spoken. He's we have seen a constant improvement in his, how he appears in the public, his diction, his language. He's a very pleasing personality. When you just see him, you see, wow, this is the man. He's good, he's nice. But electoral battle is a different ball game altogether, and that also in a typical place like Haryana, where so far our experience as journalists has been that it is caste which matters, it is your past political affiliations which matter. So in a way, this is going to be helpful to him because he's not carrying any political baggage with him. People don't hold anything against him so far. But people also don't know him much there, It's fine. A lot of people may be recognizing him in Gurgaon city, I'm talking about. They're English-speaking people, they watch English channels, they know what psephology is, they care about that. It's a different thing whether they go to vote,
Right.
But the larger belt of Gurgaon constituency, which is 3/4, is rural, where it's the same thing, they're looking at which Lal is in contest, who is whose relative and who is which caste. So these are equations which are at play on ground zero. So whether this is an advantage for him or not, one really doesn't know. So he is testing the waters afresh. He has to start from the zero. He cannot. We cannot say that he has an advantage over others because he has been a psephologist or people have seen him on television.
What do you think, Mr. Matthew?
There is a significant Muslim population in Gurgaon proper. And for the first time, Yogendra Yadav has invoked the name of Salim. That is the name that his father gave him. See, nobody knew him as Salim. Now, Yogendra Yadav is popularizing the name Salim among a certain section of of voters. So obviously, he is also playing that same card that which every other other party used to do in the past. So while I have the greatest respect for Yogendra Yadav, and he cleanses the system. Many of the AAP ministers, especially in the Delhi cabinet, they had created a lot of. The public perception about them was not so great. But when Yogendra Yadav speaks on television, it seems that
He commands an audience.
He commands an audience.
Credibility.
He's able to cleanse the dirt that there is in AAP.
So most definitely, both of you have given a very balanced view. You've said that there are certain factors at play which you will have to face and probably even counter. Like you're saying, he has a certain credibility, he's a face, and his oratory skills, his debating skills are unquestionable. But what do you think about him as a candidate, as a politician, or even eventually, if we take, hypothetically as a minister, would he be able to, understand the brass tacks of being a politician?
I don't think AAP is anywhere coming close to forming cabinet. So I don't know whether he'll become a minister or not. But then the fight in Gurgaon is between Rao Inderjit Singh and Yogendra Yadav, and both are Yadav candidates. So the fight is between them. In my opinion, the BJP has an upper edge in Gurgaon.
What about you, Asha? You did mention that caste really is a factor that doesn't set out Aam Aadmi Party as any different than if they have put him up as with caste besides his professional expertise and him being an ideologue in the party. How will caste play a factor? It's a duel that he will have with the BJP candidate.
Certainly. Even I was amazed to sense that thing, that he belongs to a particular caste of which there are majority votes in that particular constituency. So in a way, how is AAP different from other parties? I don't understand. They have also fallen in the trap of traditional, the political system, and they are also using the same parameters to decide on a candidate. They are using the same tricks, like as Mr. Matthew suggested. Actually, he knows about it, that this person has been using his name as Salim, which is in public perception, that's a Muslim name. It could be anybody's name otherwise. So he is using that card. It is in a way, he's emotionally kind of trying to play on the people's appeal to people. So how is he different from A party, B party, C party, D party? So coming to the brass tacks, he's fighting a conventional electoral battle, which he has to fight through conventional means, which right now are caste, which he is making use of. The communal card, he is making full use of it. So I don't see him any different from other politicians at this moment. If and when he becomes a kind of leader, or he becomes a minister, that is a separate story. So far, we have a good vibe about him as a public person. But when he gets authority, one doesn't know what will happen to him.
So he is trying to play to the gallery. He is trying to use conventional methods of appealing to his vote bank. You can also participate in this conversation. We want to give voice to your voice and hear your comments on our Twitter handle. Use #IndiaPostLive, or bring forth your comments on our Facebook page and our website indiapostlive.com. We want to hear from you to take this conversation forward. We will be reading out a few comments in just a bit. I wanted to ask Mr. Matthew on another aspect to this entire thing, his personality as such. He's always known to be very calm, collected, have a sort of authority, not just on television, but be able to command an audience. So that apart, do you think he has the aggression? Do you think he has what it takes to take on hours of campaign trails, to reach out to every type of voter, be it urban or rural in Gurgaon? Because it is going to be a tough contest, like you pointed out.
Yes. See, he comes across as a very soft, suave, sophisticated, urban, appealing to the urban middle class. So, but I'm also told that his health is not so great. So it's a very grueling campaign, and Haryana per se demands aggressive politics, and it demands aggressive even talking on a public platform. So I don't know whether Yogendra Yadav is able to do that, and his basic demeanor does not suggest that he is one of those rabble-rousing demagogues. He does not definitely come across as a rabble-rousing demagogue. He comes across as a very balanced individual. So that is good. I mean, per se, it'll appeal to a certain section of the population. It will also perhaps see his boss Arvind Kejriwal is going around the country abusing abusing Mr. Narendra Modi. So that will also appeal to a significant section of the population in Gurgaon constituency.
So let's hear what some of his possible voters have to say. Our correspondent went and got some voices from his Lok Sabha constituency in Gurgaon. Take a look.
केजरीवाल डालूंगा मैं। केजरीवाल को डालो। क्यों? ईमानदार आदमी है और तो सब बगड़ा बल्ला है। जाकिर को क्यों? हैं? क्यों? वो अपने बाप को नाम मुसलमान तो जो जाकिर की ना डालेगा। बीजेपी को डालेंगे वोट। कोई पार्टी हमें पसंद ही नहीं। ऑप्शन वोट डालोगे? नोटा यूज करेंगे, वोट ही नहीं डालोगे। हाँ, नोटा यूज कर।
विकास तो कांग्रेस ने किया है उसे, जो भी किया है।
बीजेपी को देंगे भाई।
क्यों? क्या खास है?
उसमें खासियत ये है कि सारे देख लिए, कोई पेट पे उन्ना छोटा है, आपका यहाँ भी देख लें, यहाँ मौका दे दें।
So that was a very interesting section of people, from rickshawalas to the urban voter. Asha, I wanted to know just one quick point from you in terms of his personality that you said. Do you think he has what it takes in terms of trying to sustain the interest that he has? A lot of people seem to think there's a disconnect between the rural voter and him as a personality or a political leader as such. Will he be able to reach out to that kind of vote bank?
Actually, from the clips we saw, he looks very tired, and it's probably because he has been campaigning very hard. But you have to remember, when we are saying that he's very urbane and he might appeal to the urban voters, but not necessarily to the rural voters. We have to keep one thing in mind: he is the son of the soil. He belongs to that place. He knows the nuances of the system there. He knows how to communicate to ordinary people there. We sitting here cannot sit on a judgment on whether he is able to communicate to the people as a person, as a vote seeker. But overall, the environment in rural belt of Haryana is that they are always hooked on to people. There have been a lot of politicians on the ground. There are people with backgrounds. People react to that. He is a new entrant as a politician. Whether he is acceptable to them, whether he is able to connect to them, that I think this election will prove that point.
Right. Asha, interestingly, we have a Skype caller, Mr. Vivek from Delhi, who wants to share his thoughts on this topic. Thank you so much for joining us, Vivek. Would you like to make a comment and take forward the discussion?
Yeah, my question is, Yogendra Yadav is an Indian academic whose primary interest in political and social science. My question is that, what the major difference between Yogendra Yadav, the cephalogist, and Yogendra Yadav, the politician?
What is the difference between the two, right? I think it's a mix. He's going to use one to the advantage of the other. What do you have to say, Mr. Matthew?
See, Yogendra Yadav as a cephalogist probably knows the results beforehand. So, but the thing is whether can he use the data that he has in front of him to change the result. So that will call for his skills as a politician.
Right. Asha?
Very right, very right. He has to. He is very scientific minded when it comes to data analysis, and he gives absolutely all accurate results. But whether he is able to use the same very parameters, he knows what is the cost composition, how people have behaved in the past. Whether he can use that knowledge and skill to transform everything into votes for him, that it will be the test of his skills at this time. So we have to wait for giving a final verdict on this question of yours.
The INLD apparently has put up a Muslim candidate, Zakir, who had come second last time around.
Right.
So
the stakes are growing.
The stakes are very high.
Because there's a huge population of Muslims in that area. And it's believed, generally they vote en bloc. It's a belief. Right. They might not vote this time. So everybody is out to catch them.
पहले भाई फिर भाजपा हराई.
Right. Vivek, any more thoughts on what our guests have just discussed with you?
No, I think I'm sufficient. I got my answer.
Right. Would you like to make a comment? What do you think about Yogendra Yadav? If at all you were from his constituency, would you consider voting for him? Would he appeal to you as a politician?
So he definitely appealed to me, because the kind of person he has, the kind of calmness, compose he poses, it's really good to see in our minister. So I think he has something to done. So let's wait.
And if at all ever you got a chance to, if at all he makes it as a minister in a cabinet, let's consider an imaginary situation, what kind of portfolio would you see him taking up as a minister?
I think he would be a very good education minister. I think he can do well. Basic problem with our country is education. I think he can do some bit of sort on that area.
Right. Any questions or thoughts that you want to share with Vivek at all, our guests? Thank you so much, Vivek. Do keep calling in on various topics, and your thoughts are very much appreciated. Thank you for joining us again, Vivek.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I really wanted to take that question as well. Vivek saying that, if you could hypothetically think of him as an education minister in a possible future government, if not now at any other point of elections, what do you see him as a personality? Do you believe that he has what it takes to, move out of the comfort of his CSDS office environs, and he must have taken a lot of poll surveys, etc. But from the number crunching, from giving that kind of intellectual academic knowledge to going down to the brass track and addressing people's issues as a minister.
So actually, he's the best in his field. We have no doubt about that. So far, the result has shown that. So if person reaches that level of excellence, so I have reason to believe that he will do well anywhere he goes. Though electoral battle is a different ball game altogether, because all the cards are not with him. Cards are with the other people also. But otherwise, as a person, to me, he comes across as a guy who is ready to work really hard, who is ready to think very coolly and go up in life. He has seen him. I'm just giving an example. Initially, when he used to come on television screens, he could not speak good English. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but he could not. He was okay, like all of us have learnt our way to speak proper English. After 1-2 elections, he was so fluent with the language. He looked so good on television. His body language is so perfect for so he's worked on all these things. So he's a very intense person, and who knows how to go up in life, but through positive ways. And he will, whatever field you give him, he'll excel there. Minus this electoral politics, because all the cards are not with him.
Right. Matthew, I wanted to ask you if you could share a little more about what does it take to be a psephologist, because he spent so much of his time, he was doing active politics when he was in JNU, he was part of the Samata Yuvjan Sabha also. He's always had this connection with politics and trying to, make a social change in our society. But as a psephologist, he's been very thorough. His predictions when it comes to elections in the South have always, been bang on. Can you share with us a little bit about his expertise that has always been really appreciated and acclaimed by a lot of people?
See, it is important in any psephological exercise that the input that you get, the output is dependent on the input. So if the input is bad, if the people on the field do not collect the data in an authentic manner, obviously the results will also be will be at variance with the final results. So it's a garbage in, garbage out kind of a scenario. So it is important that a very strict monitoring and evaluation mechanism at the grassroots where you finally collect the data from the field is done. The boys actually go to the booths and actually collect the raw data, and then the analysis can be done at the head office, at whatever office. But it's very important that you collect the correct data. If you don't collect the correct data, and if the boys and girls actually don't go to the field and don't do their job properly, the results will be at variance.
Right. So his experience as a psephologist to be able to predict.
So it counts. Yeah, no doubting that. That is what I'm saying. He already knows the result. What is going to happen in Gurgaon? He knows, but then.
Can he turn it in his favor?
He's already trying to play the Muslim card, But from what I hear, I had been to Mewat recently. From what I hear is that they would rather go with an authentic Zakir Bhai rather than a duplicate Salim Bhai.
Right, interesting point.
Interesting.
He is giving us the ground realities and the undercurrents being felt in Gurgaon Lok Sabha constituency. But in terms of describing the kind of politician he is already, his assets he's declared them, they aren't something that would be, make anybody uncomfortable. He has tried to train his guns on the BJP and the Congress candidates there who have amassed a lot of wealth being in politics and trying to get appeasement from their vote bank, but not being able to deliver, because the rural and urban population there seem to have similar gripe and issues with their political leaders so far, of not having enough adequate water supply, not enough infrastructure and roads. And Gurgaon has grown exponentially in the last decade or so. Do you believe that he has the connect, or he'll be able to get catch the pulse of what the voters really want and need?
He's smart enough to catch that. He's very well aware of the ground realities, again at the cost of repeating I am saying, because he is the son of the soil, and at times he has spoken about the disparity of in development of Gurgaon city and rest of his constituency. Well, he is aware of it. I am sure he is highlighting it wherever he thinks it is essential. But the only question before him is, will all this translate into votes? Apparently not, because if you talk in Gurgaon, people understand you, people listen to you, but Gurgaon city I am talking, but they are the people who don't come to vote. Take it from me, it's a rural guy, person who is saying, I'll not give to a fake Muslim, but I'll give to a fake Bhai, Zakir Bhai. Authentic, yeah. So those people come and vote because they have enthusiasm. The disadvantage he has, the people with whom he is directly able to connect himself, they are not the keen voters. But people with whom he is trying to build the connection, they will vote surely. But will they vote him in his favor or not, that he has to work on. I am sure he is working on all this. So only time will tell whether he has been successful as a politician. But one thing strikes me when you are talking about his assets. The good point for him to begin with is that he doesn't carry any political baggage. He was not a conventional politician, so he has come up with a clean slate. People have nothing against him, but they have nothing in favor of him also.
Right.
So he has to convert that sentiment, that neutral sentiment, into that sentiment which favors him.
Right.
This is his only work there. Now this is his capability, whether he is able to do that.
Right. I'll just read out a couple of tweets and posts on our website. We have Saujanya saying that he will make a very interesting political leader, but one has to wait and watch whether he can do much as a possible minister. Another one, we have Vishal here saying that lot of skepticism, of course, but Vishal saying it is very encouraging to know that clean and educated professionals are entering politics, especially for Gurgaon. He will be able to make a big difference. So there is a mixed sentiment, like you said, Asha, you've pointed out that will he be able to convert this sentiment into real votes and get himself elected in a place of power. We'll have to wait and watch, and one needs to find out how a cephalogist, somebody who has always been very adept and effective at predicting election results, will be able to actually get those results this time around in his favor or translate the numbers into possible votes. We'll have to wait and see. The stakes are high for the Aam Aadmi Party master strategist Yogendra Yadav. The professor has now donned the cap of a Neta, a grueling campaign ahead. We'll have to see and probably get him to share his thoughts on what his experience has been so far. We will take the conversation forward. Thank you so much for joining us, and do keep your thoughts and comments coming in on our Twitter handle at #IndiaPostLive and our website indiapostlive.com. Thank you so much for joining us. I thank both our guests, Mr. Matthew and Asha, for shedding light on this very interesting topic of Yogendra Yadav. Thank you.